here.
I can't see,
One.
but
First one,
It's
bring
my-
back the pledge of
the
allegiance.
broad thing.
Is this going to?
Hold on. Where's the Zoom?
It's a different window.
Oh, it's right here.
Wow.
Is this one?
Two.
Is the recorder, you're gonna put it on?
And that
Did you get this?
is,
Testing.
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Ready to go?
Seems rather
All right.
expensive than my point.
All right, the Parks Committee, May 31st, will come to order, and we will have a roll call. Alder Stoyer,
I am here.
Alder Eck,
Here,
Alder Campbell.
Present.
All right, and Alder Weary. Everyone is present. If we could rise for the pledge.
Pass all those.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I have an approval of the agenda? So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alder Stoyer to approve, second by Alder Eck. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the minutes.
can you guys, just real quick, who approved the
I did.
agenda
Stoyer.
minutes? And I should warn you guys, I'm gonna do everything on my own, pretty much.
Sure.
I'll
So-
talk slow.
Just, what was the, who motion?
Stoyer and Eck.
Okay.
We get to grade you.
First, second. Yeah,
Yep.
we're,
Huh?
You'll do fine.
Yeah, you'll do good.
Bring your apple next week.
an
We should
apple.
have little cards, just hold them up.
It's Royale.
Like the Russian.
Everybody has their
There
own
you go.
little.
Yeah, little flag.
Yes, I like it.
Stoyer,
I'd hold mine, but it might flop in the wind
Four.
because it's paper.
put it on your forehead.
It's
All
paper.
right,
Right.
Okay.
good to go.
Approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Campbell to approve the minutes.
You're going slow.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Was that enough? Was that
It's like, pause.
fighting my urge to go fast? All right. Number one, consideration with possible action on the request by Alder Gavlin to convert one or two of the tennis courts at Astor Park into pickleball courts. I understand Alder Gavlin can't be there tonight, and he asked it to be held to our next Parks meeting.
Motion to hold it till our next meeting, please.
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Stoyer
14.
to hold number one until our next meeting. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I think
Is
we
that
have
the same for the second one too?
Same for the second.
Okay.
Number two is consideration with possible action on the request by Alder Galvin to consider for Astor Park a simple set of bleacher seats alongside the basketball court. To also consider installing one or two street lights to aid residents to play basketball later than sunset.
Motion to hold until our next Parks meeting.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Alder Eck, second by Alder Campbell to hold until our next meeting. Discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number three, consideration with possible action on the approval of the Farland Park Master Plan.
Not sure.
You want to go first?
Staff.
All right.
Staff. Staff.
Staff, and we do have Corey Mim, our park planner. She's going to present, she's been doing the heavy lifting of all this master planning for everything, so she's got the most knowledge of it, and she's going to present this one tonight.
All right.
Awesome.
She is the master.
You have some hard copies, right?
Oh, yes.
The computer
This
isn't.
is
Our non-garbled
Yeah, I
ones.
know.
I thought it was just.
We actually had all new people at the last meeting too, right?
Yeah.
And we got them to sign in, so we have
Cool,
their
thank
names and numbers.
Oh,
You didn't do the
yeah.
first time, right?
Well, we did sign in, yeah, the first
Did
time
ya?
also.
Thank you.
All right.
So pretty.
Actually, some of those, that first one called me and said, "Why didn't you tell me?" I'm like, just thought we would get it, you know?
Okay, you coming up for?
Yes, okay, so, it looks like you have a copy there of the master plan that was put together along with the splash pad design. And so what we did as far as gathering input from the public for this was the Parks Department and Alder Campbell hosted 2 public input meetings for the redevelopment of the park. We held the meetings at the Boys and Girls Club on the east side. Before each meeting, we contacted all of the property owners within 200 feet of the park by mail to inform them of our plans to redevelop the park and to invite them to the meetings or to provide input even if they were unable to attend the meetings. We also engaged with some of the Boys and Girls Club youth members, which was exciting, and it was the first time I had participated in that kind of youth input. The first meeting that we held in March, we gathered information about what the public's desires and concerns were within the park. They had mentioned that they had concern about parking issues along Smith Street due to the location of the playground and splash pad in relationship to the parking lot. Therefore, there was support from the group to move these amenities into a more central location. There was also concern about activity that happens within the hillock mounds. Hillocks is a fancy term for mounds, in case you weren't aware, due to the low visibility and lighting between the mounds. And so, in general, most people were supportive of keeping the hillocks in the park, but they were open to the redevelopment of them. At that first meeting, we also shared the playground proposals that we already had received from the playground vendors. And there we had the children and community members vote for their favorite equipment. We also shared multiple images of different types of splash pad designs. And so you'll see a little later on how that was incorporated into the plan. And then we had also received some email correspondence before this meeting where there was concern of parking on Harold Street due to the proximity of that basketball court and the cul-de-sac there. So with all of that input and then staff considerations that we had discussed as well, we passed that along to our consultant who came up with a master plan to help accommodate these concerns and requests. So at the second public input meeting that we had in May, we presented the master plan that the consultant developed, which is very similar to what we're sharing today. The plan included the centralized playground equipment and splash pad relocation, which you'll see on there. It also, so if you want to take a look at that splash pad design, what was selected by the adults from the group was kind of the outer ring of sprays. And the children liked kind of the inner sprays, and so we combined those to create sort of a combination of both of the likes. And then thought too it could be a neat gathering space for when the water isn't turned on too. So with it being in close proximity to the shelter there, it's kind of a dual purpose space.
So are those, that fountains set up, is that on just during certain parts of the day, or is you turn it on as needed, or how does that go?
Yeah, most likely we'll have like a sensor that can be touched or something to turn it on. We talked about it being like a series of where perhaps like maybe the middle goes on first and then the outer edges or, you know, something like that. So it doesn't necessarily all spray at the same time. So are there any other questions on that? Yeah.
Well, I actually was just asking Alder Campbell, is there a map of what it looks like now, just to compare?
I don't know.
I don't want to be difficult, I'm just trying to see what all is changing.
Sure.
I'm difficult.
I don't know that I necessarily have something in hand, but to describe it a little better to you maybe. So
Okay.
in the bottom right-hand corner where it says Rain Garden Native Area, that's right now where the existing playground is. So it's tucked into the corner of the park. And then sort of just on the other side of the path there is where the splash pad is located. So everything's kind of central. The playground and splash pad right now are jammed in that kind of corner of the park, which is why people are parking on Smith Street there to come into the park. And so does that help a little bit as far as, unless, I don't know if we want to bring up an existing base map or something.
I can bring up.
I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
I actually been
I
there,
can
but I
bring
was
up-
trying to remember
I
all
can bring up
the.
Brown Dog if you want.
Brown
You can at
Dog.
least see what it is.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
might be a good idea.
Round dog?
That's the GIS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll check that.
Woohoo! I didn't know the name of it.
So here's,
Oh, good, that shows the hillocks.
see the hillocks there?
Oh, yeah.
In the middle?
Oh, yeah.
And then this is essentially, I'll point out where a couple of the key features are.
For number
And that
30 is
picture.
there,
Picture
that was
this
where all
one?
the playground stuff was.
And then if you go to air photos, yeah. And then
Oh, the air photo will show.
There you go.
All right, so
Nice.
Okay.
to see here, kind of how the parking lot is situated right now. It's like a long, and then here's where like the soccer field essentially would be. You see a couple of these trails as you can
The
see.
street at the top is Easton.
The basketball court is currently configured right here. This is the shelter.
Restroom. Or
And
rest.
Yep, and restroom, yeah.
It's not really a shelter.
And then kind of tucked back in here is where the current playground and splash pad is.
Oh, okay.
And then this is the tennis courts currently.
The hidden tennis courts.
And then did you mention the hillocks? I
The
think?
hillocks, you can kind of see them right here, see where the little kind of faded or darkened spaces are here.
How high are those? They're not tremendously high.
They're pretty high.
Are they pretty high?
Probably as tall as me in some.
Okay. All right.
I was
They're
there
all
recently
6.
and I was like, what is up with those hills? So
If you were in the middle, you
Not
wouldn't
burial
see it.
sites.
I
So-
believe the consultant said they're about 3 to 4 feet depending on which mountain.
So it's just a
they're-
matter to walk through, it's an open area anyhow.
It used to be, it was implemented, from my knowledge, and I don't know this 100% for sure, but it was implemented at a time as kind of a different amenity, like just to play on, and maybe it was just something different at the time that they were trying to implement. Maybe they saw a magazine of Europe and some
Oh.
thing they did, and they were trying to do something fancy and kind of cool at the time, and that's what they did.
I think it was a firm out of Florida, so they don't have hills down there, so maybe they wanted to build some.
They don't have hills down there.
Just on the beach.
Alder.
When I went there and I saw that, I was thinking, I said, hopefully that's coming out of there, just because I don't see the value of it. But you said they were concerned about what was going on there, but yet they're okay with them staying, so that doesn't, like, to me, match.
So the majority of the people in that first meeting were supportive of keeping the hillocks. They like them, they get used a lot by kids and children,
Kids.
whether it's RC cars or kids running up and down them or that type of thing. Majority of the folks were happy with them as is. There were some folks though who were concerned about activities and things that can happen between the hills if you don't have a good line of sight. And so as part of the redevelopment, we're proposing to reconfigure the mounds in sort of a more designerly way that kind of reacts to this inner walking loop, where the inner walking loop would also help to connect ADA accessibility to these amenities, the new ones and or existing. And so those aren't necessarily things we have funding for phase one, but I can talk through the funding phasing a little bit more. So, yeah, I can, I guess unless there's any more questions, I can kind of continue to walk through the updated plan.
Do you want any more? You want me to keep this up for now?
Yeah, keep it up for
If
that.
that's okay.
problem.
I'm holding it up to compare here.
Yeah. no problem.
Yeah, so other things that have been added, hang on, I just want to make sure I got through what I wanted to with that.
And the hillocks too, were at one time talked about to be part of a dog walk park kind of a thing too at one point. Remember, this is 16 years old.
Okay, yeah, okay, good. I think I got through most of that. One thing I did want to mention at that second meeting, which wasn't heard as much at that first meeting or spoke about as much, was the concern of where the basketball court location is. And the priority from that second meeting from the group was they felt that should be the #1 priority to help alleviate parking concerns and things. So I just wanted to point that out too.
Can I add to that? On observation of all the many times I've been down in the park counting the different diversities, the different age groups, which I was more than impressed, big guys, little guys, kids, it was quite the mix. I mean, luckily they didn't have, that was one of the most used things there. Along with that comes bum, 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 bum. So I mean, moving it over there, everyone, that second meeting, if I might add, it became unanimous that we even talked about bringing pickleball to that, and we're like, let's just see how it goes. Remember, this is a structurally phased in by spending, so this is a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna move anything that we don't have to spend money on to make it work, right?
Yes, absolutely, trying to prioritize what we heard from the neighborhood, what the concerns are and things, and so using that to kind of guide how we're phasing these parts of the project in. So,
Do you got the list of, like, the kids list that was so cute?
I didn't bring it over.
So these are kids from the thing, they started off with all the different playgrounds, and before I even came, they got to put a star, and that's how the kids input, which was cool. And then the adults, they got into it, well, that's cool, the kids like this. but their wish list that they had on there, from a swimming pool to,
Yes,
oh my God, it was
they were very.
cool to be a kid again, you know?
Yeah,
That's funny.
very inquisitive, and it was really neat to have that participation, I thought.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so, some of the other proposed changes in the park that you'll see, so right now, at the end of the parking lot, it just kind of cuts off. You'll see in the new master plan that we put in a cul-de-sac kind of turnaround in there. And that's really just for ease of, if you're the person driving all the way to the end of the parking lot and it's full, it's difficult to back all the way out, so it would be a nice way to move people through that space once funding would be in place for that, which is not part of the phase one. Also, check. So also, we've talked about repurposing the existing basketball court. So right now, again, it's at the end of Harold Street there, and so the thought was that we could perhaps use that for something like Foursquare or Gaga Ball, or activities where we don't anticipate a lot of people driving to the park and kind of creating that same concern that we already have. So to hopefully be able to repurpose what's already there. And then the thought was that we could use the existing restrooms that are in the existing shelter building, but not to necessarily use that as a rental space, but instead it would be preferred to at some point put this open shelter into the park. So that would be like your rental space for parties and things like that, where the restrooms being kind of off to the side is a nice option for if somebody is using the rental, then you still, sometimes it feels like that rental overtakes the space. So then users in the park wouldn't necessarily feel that, our thought was. And so utilizing the existing utilities and things like that too would help save funding in the long run.
Alder Steuer, do you have a question
Yeah, just
before you?
a quick question, and Steve, I know this was a concern of yours, and I've been to Farland years ago too, where they had the issue with Smith Street, people parking on that street, and I think this plan is addressing that, but is there anything above and beyond that we should know about with the parking issue that they had on some of the side streets?
You mentioned Harold.
What's that?
She
Well,
mentioned Harold.
Harold's there, but I don't know, like I
Smith
see
also
Smith
comes
Street
in.
is
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, he said Smith first.
it just stops, and I don't know, that was an issue some years ago. So is this all being kind of taken care of with this?
Yes.
Well, I think that's the whole.
Because they have the
kind of
parking
point
lot,
of
they have
it.
the parking lot over there, I understand that, but.
To cut the budget, number one, in half, and then in half again, one, to see it get done and ultimately solve the main issue was the parking.
The parking, yeah.
Both those
Okay.
streets are different widths, and I've been there, if you own a trailer, I don't know how you get in and out of it, let alone cars overlapping your driveway. All the time when I went down there.
There might be a little bit of time where people have to figure out, you know what, let's go over here. There it is. It won't take that long. So
That's
I'm
the
good. I'm good.
I'm just going to mention, is there anybody here for this item, for the Farland Park item? Okay, just so.
Or do we want to
Case-
check the Zoom meeting too, just to make sure?
Sure. And then everything we do tonight at Parks will be reported as a recommendation to council next week, Tuesday. So 8 more people will get a kick at it. Of course, they always agree with us.
Maybe
Not
Karen.
always.
I'll direct and then we'll go over.
Yeah, I just, I noticed at the bottom, it said, note highlighted items are to be implemented during phase one. So
Yeah.
the yellow that's phase one, and then the ones in the white are like
Yep.
hopefully in the future.
future?
or
Exactly.
Hopefully.
It's a really nice phase one. It's a lot for the money.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to break down of the money too.
Sure. So as far as funding phase one, all of that, so the budget that we put together for phase one is $650,000. $423,500 has been secured. $250,000 of that is ARPA funding, and $173,500 is community development block grant funding. So that leaves us with, and with that funding, we've already purchased the playground equipment and hired the consultant. So with the cost estimates that we got from the consultant, we would need to bond an additional $230,000 in 2024 to implement phase one. And what's included in that is, yes, highlighted in yellow on your plan, and the text box is there. And it includes the new playground, and I guess just so you're all aware, the playground equipment was scheduled to be replaced in the not too far future anyway. It did get bumped up a little bit to help with this, but just so you're aware, it was in need anyway. So the new playground, the new splash pad, new basketball court, and then overlaying pickleball onto the tennis courts, which we haven't talked about a lot, but that was something that the neighborhood felt that would get used, and the tennis courts are apparently underutilized, so we felt that, I mean, I know we're always talking about pickleball around here, so it's definitely something we feel would help to activate that space. And then stormwater management, because of the disturbance that we're going to be doing in the park, is going to require that. So if we get that $230,000 approved for the 2024 request, then we can implement all of phase one. Hopefully next year is the plan to get it installed.
Alder Schreck?
Yes, Corey, it's very good, but it would be nice to have those figures.
Okay.
I don't know, for council at least.
Okay.
I might agree there.
In terms
What's
of,
that?
you just want a sheet
A
outlining
sheet,
this?
an outline, just what you described, just
Sure.
Okay.
just to have
The
those
budget,
figures.
what we have on
Attached.
hand, what it's paying for.
Yeah,
Yep.
things like
Okay.
that, so.
I think what you proposed at the very first meet, it was pretty clear there.
Right,
I
but.
think
Yeah.
you even
Just to
had it
see
on a
it.
board or something.
Yeah, for attachment on the full
Attachment.
council.
Okay.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
it.
maybe in addition to this.
Yes,
as a-
yes.
just
So
kind
to
of-
clarify, the items in white,
Sure.
is that, those are being done this year? No.
So the items in white, we don't have funding for, and we don't know when yet we might find the
I see.
funding. So they're a hope for
I-
future improvements, but not planned at this time.
It should be for phase one and then the white future.
I see.
Build a bake sale at Steve's house.
Oh, yeah.
Another neat feature, I think, in this space, which we really don't have in our parks yet, but it's something that we're trying to, or thinking about incorporating into some of the parks, is this nature play area, which is near the playground. And that's really just looking at spaces that have like giant logs or to walk on and things like that, just to kind of introduce that sort of natural play opportunity for kids and adults.
Any other questions from the committee?
Are you done?
Yeah, I think we touched on most things that I wanted to. That where we have that rain garden native area planned, where that existing playground it is quite wet there, so it would be fitting for the space, and something that likely the Green Bay Conservation Corps could help, enhance as that old playground comes up. So, but that was all I really wanted.
Alder Campbell, you're
Sure.
good with?
You're good?
Yeah, well, just did a great job at the last thing. We got a lot of input on doing half that circle thing versus one, and actually leaving that center open for even further down the road for some more kind of activity in the park type deal.
Little council meeting or something.
Lighting too was another
Oh, yeah,
concern
lighting,
brought up,
right.
and a hope for fitting in at some point.
I mean, it's a nice trail. I mean, this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 blocks there that connects the main trail that's there now. I mean, it really does cut off a lot of a walk, And it's a nice walk versus walking down the street all the way past people's houses. This is a nature walk now.
So just to reiterate, will anything be done today since we do have money on hand? Like,
So for today, we're looking for approval of the master
Yep.
plan. But beyond that, we would be coming back to, like, once we purchase the splash pad equipment, it'll likely be over 25,000, so we'll have to come back for approval for that. We'll need the approval for the 2024 bond request funding. And then I think, like, if we were gonna award a contract for the basketball location, things like that, that gets approved again. So really today, it's more just the master plan so that we can kind of move forward with the rest of the funding and planning. and
The
things.
recommended motion would just be to approve the Farleyburg master plan today.
would there be any physical improvements this year? Or is this?
The playground is already purchased.
It is.
Yes.
So
And
that will
I
go
don't
in
know
this
if we
year.
have an
What I was
exact
gonna
date
finish
yet
up
going
with.
in yet, but that should happen.
It potentially could start this fall, the playground, I'm not certain yet.
Okay.
But most likely, the splash pad and basketball court wouldn't happen until 2024. And of course, we need the additional funding to make it happen.
Playground.
Any other questions? Otherwise, If a certain alder would like to make a
I
motion.
would make a motion, I need to see this through and get it to council, start to finish, to approve the master plan for Farland Park.
Motion
Second.
by Alder Campbell, second by Alder Eck to approve number 3, the master plan for Farland Park. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Good job,
Yeah.
nice job.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number 4, consideration with possible action on accepting a $249,999 Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Stewardship Grant to assist with the funding of the construction of a new shelter with restrooms and an overlook deck at Light Memorial Park. Good news.
So in May of 2022, the Parks Department submitted a $1 million grant application request to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Stewardship Funding Program. On May 25th, 2022, the Parks Committee approved a resolution in support of this grant application. We were recently notified by the DNR that they had enough funding to give us a partial grant award of $249,999. The original grant application was to construct the entire renovation of Light Memorial Park, including the site work, shoreline work, and the construction of the rental shelter with restrooms. Since we were only awarded a portion of the requested funding, we worked with the DNR to restructure the 2022 grant application to only include funding for the installation of the rental shelter with restrooms, a beverage concession area, and a rooftop overlook deck. For the purposes of this grant, this project is called Phase 1 construction. This allowed us to apply for a second grant application in 2023 for Phase 2 construction, which includes the construction of the site work, stormwater management, and shoreline work. We are requesting approval to accept the grant award for the Phase 1 construction. I do want to note the total cost for Phase 1 will be approximately $2 million. So the DNR will only fund certain elements of the construction, which includes the restrooms, the rooftop overlook deck, and associated ADA accessible walkways leading to these areas. The total for these grant-funded elements is $667,000. If we accept the grant, the city would be under contract to fund $417,001 as a match to the grant. So, but in reality, just so you're aware, the city would have to fund the full $1.75 million of this grant if it's awarded. So if you accept the grant, the city would be on the hook, per se, for $1.75 million if this grant is awarded. We cannot build only the grant-funded elements without constructing that entire building. So, good note is, the city previously approved allocating $1.75 million towards Light Park from the remaining balance to close out TID 5. We did verify with Diana, our finance director, that this funding is still available, and no additional funding beyond the TID funding would be needed in order to accept this grant. The TID money and DNR funding would be used to construct Phase 1, and Phase 2 will only move forward if additional funding is secured. Currently, Phase 2 construction is anticipated to come from the fundraising effort by On Broadway, and in addition to other grants possibly. So that's the narrative, if there's any questions on that. Otherwise, what we'd be looking for today is to accept the $249,999 Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Stewardship Grant to assist in the funding of the construction of a new shelter with restrooms and overlook deck at Light Memorial Park.
Thank you. Questions? Alder Eck?
Just to clarify, so, and I thought we did already approve this, so the 1.7, so basically, by approving this, we've already approved the 1.7, but we're gonna accept aid towards that, correct? So we're actually,
Essentially, that building with concessions, restrooms, the overlook, rooftop overlook, ADA accessible to get up there, is a total cost of $2 million. We have approved $1.75 million through that TID funding when we close out the TID.
yeah,
Now, this grant will actually give us the $2 million we need to construct Phase 1.
sweet.
Excellent.
How's that?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Sorry.
By Alder Eck, second by Alder Campbell.
Ty.
Eck and then Campbell.
You're
Any
being-
discussion on that?
Got it. Polite.
All right, those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
very good.
And do we still we'll have more grant proposals out there, you said?
Yes, we're between On Broadway and there's additional
Yeah.
grant
Right.
opportunities. We're hoping to get that Phase 2 look out.
Yeah.
Presume Alder
Good job.
Johnson is good with all of this?
Yep.
The numbers are so much bigger.
Number 5, consideration with possible action on the approval of a city deck lease and Hagemeister restroom use agreement.
All right, so, I'm not sure how aware everyone is of this, but since the construction, since we built City Deck, there has been an agreement in place with Hagermeister Park to provide public restrooms. At the time when we constructed City Deck, there was no reasonable, cost-efficient way to actually construct restrooms down and to make public restrooms on City Deck. So the agreement at the time was made with Hagermeister Park that they would provide public access to the restrooms at Hagermeister Park from approximately 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. or if there's other activities going on at City Deck, possibly a little later for Hagermeister, but they're also used by Hagermeister patrons, Hagermeister Park patrons. So that was put in place and it has been currently, we've been under that agreement, which over the last 6 years, it's been a total of $25,000. So as part of that agreement, the city would actually pay Hagermeister Park to maintain, clean, they provide all the necessary cleaning equipment and all the things for that. So as the public go and use it, they would then be responsible for maintenance, cleaning, all the different stuff with the restroom. In lieu of that, the city was paying Hagermeister Park for the last 6 years, $25,000. The last couple of years, the amount was $3,500 per year as part of that agreement. So over what happened since then is over COVID, there was kind of a COVID clause that was during COVID that would actually help out private businesses that if their property abutted up next to public property, they could seek a variance at the time through our city, through the clerk's office, to actually extend their premise to hopefully encourage people to spread out, one, but also give them the ability on, especially in a situation like Hagermeister Parks, where it was safe for people to come and be outside and dine, and it would give them more space to kind of utilize that. That was something that they were given approval for over the last 2 or 3 years by the city, and that was no cost to either party. It was just something that came out through COVID. Since then, that variance is no longer allowable because COVID is, I don't want to say over, I guess, but it's changed. And but in lieu of that, so Hagermeister Park still wanted to utilize the space they were using during that clause, which, as I will pass out I didn't have this diagram ready for the agenda packet, but it will be included in the council packet. So this is the space you'll see with the present easement location that I'll be referring to.
That's what we had before.
That's what we had with COVID, and this is what they're asking for us to enter into a lease with them.
Is that outside thing?
It is
area?
outside,
Okay.
and it actually goes on to City Deck. So it actually,
okay.
you'll see the, what do you call that? The
Pink crossover. is
Yep,
it
the
pink or
crossover
red,
lines
whatever it
there,
is? Yeah.
where the arrow points to, that whole area that's kind of crossover lines, that's the area that you're referring to, and that's the area that they would like to continue to lease out on a yearly basis. So, yep.
I was gonna say, James, is there an issue with some of that going on into the city deck for liability or anything like that?
As part of the lease, we would make sure that they have all their certificate of insurance,
harmless.
anything.
Okay,
Risk management has reviewed it. It's
sure, okay.
And law department has reviewed this lease, and so we've worked through it. In lieu of them getting access to that, to lease that space to put extra tables out there or whatever they want for their patrons, we would then not pay them under the agreement anymore. So we would actually save $3,500 a year.
If you
And so
allow
both parties
that.
would essentially benefit.
That was my next question. I didn't see any
Yeah.
dollar amounts in here, so.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I
That would be good. Was there an issue that with, over the years, I was on council long enough where there was some contention and different things about all of this. Was Hagermeister upset at all with some of, maybe the fact that they had to clean too much? Or, I mean, we had some pretty big events on city decks. So is there a good enough rapport between Hagermeister and the city that they're okay with any of this moving forward?
Yeah, so for the last probably 6 months or so, we've been talking about this and actually solidifying kind of how we wanted to approach this. And over the last 2 months, I've been in direct contact with Hagermeister, and they're acceptable and approve if we move forward with this. And then, yeah, there's been challenges always, but we've worked through them and we have a good working relationship. Currently, so.
Any other questions?
I've been there a lot and I didn't
Yeah.
think it was even gotten into anything.
And
so.
we're not part of the problem. Great.
It's good
Well, I
for us
didn't
not
think
to
this-
have to build bathrooms and maintain it, and
Yeah.
staff and supply it and clean it. And they're really not using that large of a section, so I
It-
think,
So we're saving $3,500 a year by
and get
this.
the bathrooms.
Yes. Yep.
I would say, I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Alder Steuer to approve.
Sounds good.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
In the contract, it says with allowance for up to 5 one-year extensions through 2028. Is there a reason why there's a cap on that?
I think just standard, our law department, they just, a standard 5 years. We can extend it after 5 years, but in lieu of Alder Steurer's statement, if we do run into anything that we need to work through over the next 5 years, it's good to have it in there just in case one party or the other doesn't necessarily feel like they want to continue it, but we can essentially end it at any time, with a written notice. So
Okay.
I'll give an example. This actually goes in front of the Watermark building, part of it. And there's actually some nice windows there, and if you look down, it's vacant right now, there's nobody in there. But if there ever would be a tenant that would want to come in and get that Watermark building activated again, that'd be a good time to review the lease and say, okay, this section right here,
We gotta-
Hagermeister Park would no longer be able to go over there, so.
Oh, I see, in front of there, yeah.
Yep.
Makes sense.
So there's certain little details that might tweak it, and that just gives us the ability to talk it through, and I think it's just standard procedure to have a 5-year lease, so.
I second it. Second the motion.
We have a motion by Alder Steuer, second by Alder Eck to approve the lease on number 5 under discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Is anyone here for any particular item on parks, or are you here for the next meeting?
They're enjoying this one.
Yeah, okay.
Very interested in the Parks and Rec.
That's a good answer. That's a good
Good
We
answer.
know where we're going at. Prove that.
Yeah. 6, consideration of possible action on the purchase of 2 Kubota ZD 1211 72-inch mowers for a total cost of $37,912.14, $18,956.07 each from Service Motor Company, Inc.
Yeah, so I do want to point out right off the bat that the funding for these 2 mowers was recently approved by City Council to the 2023 bond request. As part of the bond request, the council also approved funding approximately $540,000 of the request using ARPA dollars to keep the bonding limit lower, and gave the finance director the authority to select which equipment will be funded out of the allocated ARPA dollars versus bonding. And these 2 mowers were selected using ARPA dollars as the fund source. So one of the mowers will replace Unit 129, which is a 72-inch deck mower that was purchased in 2012. This unit has about 3,000 hours and is starting to wear out. The other will replace Unit 107, which is a 60-inch mower, which was purchased in 2005 and also has about 3,000 hours and is also starting to wear out. So we are proposing to purchase 2 72-inch mowers, and that will fit our needs better than the 60-inch mower, because it's more efficient. The total budget allocated for both mowers is $51,000. So this was quoted through Sourcewell, which is an approved government purchasing company. This company does the competitive quoting on behalf of government agencies. So any agency can use them, these quoted prices, to purchase the equipment they need. So the motion that we'd be looking for you guys to consider would be to approve the purchase of the 2 Kubota ZD1211 72-inch mowers for a total cost of $37,912.14, so they're worth $18,956.07 each from
Whoa.
Service Motor Company
Good job.
Incorporated.
That was on one breath.
Wow.
I know, I was like, you gotta take
You
it
ever do
back.
commercial work?
Should have been an auctioneer, yep.
Yeah, should've.
Any questions? It's, this is federal money, so it's not free money, but it's our federal dollars at work that we're allocating for this, so at least it's
Yeah.
solid.
Being that
tangible
they're
things.
diesel. And are we all supposed to go electric?
Yeah, I motion to approve.
Motion
You're
by
not asking a
Alder Eck.
question, are you?
Yeah.
Approve.
Second.
Second by Alder Steuer. Just under a slight deviation here, my mother-in-law was gonna come today and talk about lawn mowing by
Oh.
Bay Beach as is her favorite thing, so if you could just watch, I think we're supposedly
Scalping
probably
it.
cutting it too short,
Mhm.
so I had to throw in a word for her.
I will
Former Alder LaFave, your predecessor.
I will relay that to
All right,
our
good.
crews.
Where was
Sorry.
At
Muff
Bay
dog.
Beach.
Yep.
Tell my mother-in-law I did my job. All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7, consideration with possible action on the purchase of a 2023 Cass Borer Piston Bully, 100 4F snow groomer tractor from Cass Borer All-Terrain Vehicles for a total cost of $282,000.
Well, I'm personally excited about this because this is part of our snowmaking and grooming equipment that we're getting for Triangle Hill to make Triangle Hill more activated longer during the winter and really have a really nice showcase park there during the winter months for tubing. The City Council recently approved $500,000 in ARPA funding to purchase snowmaking equipment at Triangle Hill. This funding is to go towards the purchase of 1 snow grooming tractor, 2 snowmaking cannons, and all the site work and operations related expenses due to the installation of the snowmaking equipment. For this agenda item, the purchasing department quoted out the snow grooming tractor. Only 2 companies provided quotes, and of the 2, only 1 company met the required minimum specifications. Our staff has done quite a bit of research on these groomers and is satisfied that the selected groomer will adequately meet our needs. This is the same groomer that the Packer Titletown and Aaron's Nordic Center facility just south of Brilliant have. Our mechanics did take a trip out to the Aaron's Nordic Center and spoke to their maintenance staff, and they're happy with this groomer and they agree this machine will work well for our situation. The second company that quoted only offered to lease a grooming tractor to the city for $72,000 per year. They did not provide a quote to purchase. We expect this tractor to last approximately 20 years, so the leasing option is not in the best interest of the city at this time, and we don't believe it's cost efficient over time as well either. The blade on this tractor is 13 inches wide, which gives us about 8 to 10 lanes versus the 3 lanes we currently have. So it really is going to give us the opportunity to get a lot more tubers down the hill more effectively and efficiently, and really increase the number of tubers we can have throughout the day. It's really going to maximize that because we're going from 3 lanes that we currently have to 8 to 10 lanes with this snowmaking equipment in the.
Is that by a third of the hill sometimes is just not even touched, so you don't really go down that
Yeah,
side?
essentially we don't have the ability to groom any lanes now, so we have to keep it very
Yeah.
wide and open. So in case some would, a tube would go here, this way or that way. So.
Don't you try?
Yep, like I said, this will allow us to increase the number of people that will go down on the hill at any given time. And also, it'll make, the groomed lanes will make it actually a lot safer for the public as well. So there'll be less issues with the tubes colliding at the end of the hill because they'll all each have their own lane. We did also quote out the snow cannons. These snow cannons will be discussed in the next agenda item. In addition to the tractor and snow cannons, there is other work that needs to be done. The remaining funds will be used to install a large shed for the groomer and snow cannons, install water lines, install electric lines, and we will also be looking at our operations and determine if additional infrastructure needs to be installed to accommodate a more streamlined approach to the tube rentals and emission counter areas. And we should be able to do all of this, we feel comfortable, within the allocated $500,000 budget.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just with the lease option, it looks like it'd be about 1.5 million if we did it over 20 years.
Yeah.
No sense,
No
doesn't
brainer.
make sense.
No.
What was I else I gonna ask about that?
You wanna do this?
So it's a 2023, so is that considered a 1-year-old now or not?
It's considered, I believe, brand new.
It's, okay,
Yep.
just check with the year on that.
Yep.
Okay.
That delivery this year? Do we have it?
That will be in our, all fingers crossed, of course, it'll be in operation this winter.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent.
We're going.
So you mentioned the tubing, is this possible that it can be moved around in the ski hill too?
Anything is possible. Now, our tubing will be the priority, and once we get that taken care of, as long as everything is really, then we can look into anything from possibly the ski area, and also possibly even trail work in the future. We're not quite ready for we're gonna focus really on, the focus would be on the hill in the winter, but if we get all that going and we can possibly step into phase 2 of that, it could be the ski hill, it could be additional tubing hills in the future.
Other
depending on,
parks, other parks?
Yeah,
Use- Okay.
and it could be.
Cross country, you mean?
like up at Barrett Creek, there's cross-country trails. And there's also that big area out back of the parking lot, if you know what I'm talking about behind there.
Yeah.
Like, we could possibly do like a nice cross-country loop there for people to come up and do a cross-country loop. Like, and this grooming machinery would be easily capable of doing that.
How big
Awesome.
is it physically?
Well, it's 13-inch wide, or 13-foot wide blade.
I was gonna
13
say.
foot.
So it's a
You said
pretty.
inch before.
No, sorry, it's not inches.
It
It'll take us a little while, probably.
I was gonna stop you, but I'm like, is it a sawtooth or what?
I gotta go home.
13
No,
foot, that's
13
right.
foot.
13
He is really excited about it.
I am actually, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I've been, this has been like 10 years in the making, so.
Yeah, all right.
So does that mean you're the first one to drive it?
Yes, I think I
Yes,
might have to,
yes.
you know.
We should take these both up, but at the
We
same
have a
time.
motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
by Alder Steuer, second by Alder Eck to approve. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Just-
carried.
Just one comment,
Yeah.
a good one. So, not last weekend, but the weekend before, I came home from St. Paul. And whatever the hill is in Wausau there. Still
Used
has,
to be Rib Mountain.
still
It's
had
granite
snow
paved now.
Yeah.
on most of them.
I saw that too.
I was like, no way, how can that be snow?
Well, it's higher up too.
Nice.
They were, well, that's the base, but.
All right, the second part of this is number 8, consideration of possible action on the purchase of two 2023 SMI Super Polecat with onboard booster pump snowmaking cannons for a total cost of $80,590 from Snow Machines, Inc.
All right, so more snowmaking stuff. This was quoted through the purchasing department. Park staff would recommend going with the lowest responsible bidder, which is from Snow Machines, Inc. Both companies that submitted quotes are distributors and quoted the exact same snow cannons. Option 1 includes an onboard pump and compressor. And for whatever reason, both companies submitted an option 2 that did not include a compressor. But we require a compressor for our operating purposes. Therefore, option 2 does not meet our required specifications. These are once again, these are the same snow cannons that the Green Bay Packers own and use at Titletown. And as mentioned in the previous agenda item, this will be funded using already approved ARPA dollars, and this is within budget, so.
Motion to,
Go ahead.
Good.
motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Alder Eck.
Second.
Second by Alder Campbell. I was just gonna say, I love seeing multiple bidders. I was like, what is one?
Yeah, even one.
And then they added on more options without being asked.
Good. All right, any discussion?
Let's work on the contract with Mother Nature too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Let us know.
I'm so excited about that.
All right.
Number 9, consideration with possible action on the purchase of one Vermeer SC802 74 horsepower stump grinder for a total cost of $72,463.77 from Vermeer, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so from snowmaking cannons to stump grinders. The city council approved $88,500 towards the purchase of this stump grinder in the 2023 bond request. This will replace Unit 118, which was purchased in 2001. The existing unit is burning a lot of oil and the transmission is starting to wear out. With the continual removal of thousands of ash trees over the next few years, along with the removal of other street trees, park trees, and storm damaged trees, this purchase is necessary. This was quoted through Sourcewell, which is an approved government purchasing company. This company does the competitive quoting on behalf of government agencies, and any agency can use these quoted prices to purchase the equipment they need. So I'd be looking for approval of the purchase of the stump grinder.
Sure.
One question, so how many stump grinders do we have right now? Just one?
I can
The city?
get back to you with that.
Just-
I'm not sure if we have,
Because I
I
realize
think
we're
we have
using
more
a
than
lot.
one.
You've stumped him.
I've stumped,
Randy would be proud. Alder Scannell.
You'd be proud, stump.
I can get you that
Well, yeah,
information.
just, if you could
Yeah.
include that in our package, just say we already have 3 or
Vermeer,
something like that,
Vermeer.
but we still need it. That would be fun.
Good.
Good.
Any other questions?
Okay.
We only got one quote on this?
One quote?
I mean, that's all
We
I've
actually
seen.
quoted, so we quoted this through, so this Sourcewell company, they do the quoting for you, and they come back with the, that's why
Okay.
a couple of these,
Yeah.
you notice I said that narrative.
Yeah,
So what happens, it's an approved government purchasing company, and they do the competitive quoting on behalf
So-
of government agencies. So it's something that is becoming more and more common as you get into these. Instead of the city maybe doing all of the bidding,
What's
this
the
company
cost
does
of-
it for you.
What's the cost on something like that? though?
There's no cost.
So you just show us what they recommend as the final one?
Yes.
Okay, get it, I get it. I motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Alder Eck, second by Alder Steuer. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Informational. Update on park seasonal staffing levels for the pools and summer playground program.
Are you ready?
We are ready.
Yes.
Let's get a seatbelt on or what?
All
Let's
right.
hope for,
So exciting.
well, good news, big news.
Is it up?
It was good news
It's gonna
last,
be up there, I take
last
it.
time, but hopefully it's even better.
We got a waiting line to hire for
So
lifeguard.
So I don't, I mean,
That's what we're looking for.
I don't want to be quoted as this is great news, but we are pretty excited about where we're currently at right now. So currently, as of today, we have all 16 playground sites filled, which is really great news. And we also have been working very hard on staffing our pools. So right now, currently, we actually have closed the facility attendant application online because we actually are full with facility attendants and we have about 20 subs. Right
Wow.
now, right now we're looking at, so this is the part where we're really optimistic about our situation with lifeguards currently. Right now, we are 8 lifeguards away from our minimum needed to open all 3 pools, to fully open them.
Awesome.
We do currently have 4 certified lifeguards with set scheduled interviews, and we also have 6 non-certified applicants who are in the process of going through their swim test stage. So 2 have already passed and are ready for certification. So right now, we need 5 more guards at Joannes and 3 more at Colburn. That's the 8 that I talked about, or I spoke of. And if Colburn will allow us some flexibility because we could close off maybe a certain section or we could maneuver a little bit at Colburn if we want. Therefore, Joannes will still remain kind of the focus until we get those final spots filled. Because one of the big things that in the past that's been frustrating for not only the public but for us is we want to open up facility and we want all of the amenities open. That's the goal. So just a few points to consider. We could have anywhere between 3 and 8 people that will be in lifeguard training, which we'll be holding the week of June 12th. So as pools open, hopefully we can have the minimum number required. But as you know, there's that summer burnout, they call it. So if we just have minimum staffing levels, we still need more lifeguards to sub in and to rotate, lifeguards through. So the hope is during that June 12th week, we can train up to 8 more lifeguards, and then we'll have enough to be fully staffed through the summer. Now, this is the best case scenario we ever could have asked for. And yesterday on the phone, when I was with Ann on the phone, we're really excited about what this could look like and the fact that we could somehow get into fully staffed pools this summer. But once again, I want to kind of warn you that's if nobody else pulls out over the next 2 weeks, which we sometimes have staff that pull out, and also if all these lifeguards kind of work out in our favor, then we'll be fully staffed.
Awesome.
Alder Steuer.
So James, we did increase the pay a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, we.
Right, so, because I know that's always been.
Yes, we did.
I know, I'm just using it for clarification.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, that was very helpful. So, do you foresee anything, because I remember last year we had, I think it was Fisk Pool that was closed. Or
We
the Rush Aquatic Center.
Uh,
So is that
Col-
projected to be
Colburn-
open?
Colburn has been closed.
Yeah.
But Rush,
Rest will be open if everything works out as we hope it will. Joannes will be open and Colburn will be open. I want to point out something that we did last year in our budget that you guys also approved, which we appreciate, is we used to have allocation for like a special event coordinator or a fit in the park, like wellness coordinator, and we actually realigned that role to be an aquatic coordinator to help out with the things that our current rec manager, Ann, she oversees aquatics, but she could really concentrate a lot more on recruiting, interviewing, hiring, training, and this other individual, which his name's Nick, he's been a great addition. He's helped out with all these auxiliary things that Ann, honestly couldn't really get to because she was focusing so much time on interviewing. So with both of those positions kind of concentrating more on aquatics, I think that's why you're seeing, in addition to the pay increase, I think that's why you're seeing the results this year with aquatics right now. So
Awesome.
it's not an additional, you didn't additionally fund it, it's just was transferring the funding from
That's
the wellness to the aquatics.
That's great news, because I know Colburn closed last year, and the year before, you know, if you went there, sometimes a section would be closed, maybe the diving boards were closed, and people
Mhm.
were, you know, spent all that time and money and effort over a decade to get it open.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
frustration.
Right.
So I'm hoping we get the fully staffed. If we don't, can we alternate Joanne's and Colburn being open fully? I know Resch is our biggest money producer, so that's our right, our most heavily attended pool.
Yeah, so, either in any situation, as we currently sit, we feel very confident that no matter what, we're gonna open all 3 pools. There might have to be a discussion based on if we do have to, maybe like Thursdays and Sundays are closed down at Joanne's or something, or as an example.
But that's a
But we're going to open all 3 pools, we're gonna make sure the public knows exactly what's up to date. And as we go through the summer, if we end up getting more lifeguards, then we'll continue to expand our hours and our days.
Colburn, do we still have the inflatables that we'll put on there again?
Yep, we just discussed that, we're planning on prioritizing the inflatable in the deep well,
Oh, yeah.
because it gets kind of the most use and it's easier to lifeguard with less staff.
Right.
If we add some of the other components, then we might have to increase our staff.
Okay.
So there might be but we're planning on doing that, yes.
Awesome. Questions on staffing? All right.
Motion to receive and place on file?
Yep.
Mhm.
Motion to receive and place on file by Alder Rack,
Second.
second by Alder Steuer. Discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
All right,
motion
good luck.
carried.
Good luck with all that.
Director's report on everything else.
Summer's underway, all of our, Bay Beach, our programs, everything is going, and is there any questions you have that's not in the director's report? I mean, otherwise it's all,
Alder Campbell, looks like.
I got a couple from a constituent today.
Sure.
She said that the city came by and loaded up a couple picnic tables and hauled them away.
yep.
So
At Dan's?
No, down on, where we planted all the trees.
By Dan's?
No.
Berry Creek?
On
On the other
Eastman
side.
Park,
Oh, Eastman.
down from Pickle
Isn't
Park.
Eastman on Dan's?
Oh, I thought you were.
Or no,
talking-
Kennedy,
Yeah, I thought you
that's
were talking
Kennedy,
about,
never
we
mind.
had some,
Parks on Eastman.
we had some unfavorable, people that burned some picnic tables.
Is that what it was?
So they were probably replacing them with,
Well, she did say there was tons of traffic all the way up and down that road, all night, lots of garbage.
yeah, so either they
I
probably
wonder
were
if-
damaged or graffiti or
Well,
burnt,
this-
one of the 3.
Corner place, usual,
Mhm.
knows me by name.
The police were notified at home.
She's just wondering if they're coming back and they want more trash cans there too, because them must have been the problem then. I didn't realize they burned, I don't think she told me that.
Yeah, they might not have been, we had some picnic tables that were burnt at Dan's Park over the weekend, and that, I'm imagining that's probably a similar situation. If you ever have
I
any,
mean,
you can just shoot me an email or shoot
Kennedy
me
Park?
a. Yep. But we will replace the picnic tables if we took them out, yes, and we'll look at getting more trash cans.
2-year-old almost got killed there last week by something that blew a stop sign at 50 or 60.
I do have one question for you.
Yes.
On, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3, they hired the extra forestry crew plus vehicle.
Mhm.
Are we staying up to date on our tree trimming and removal of ash borers? Are we caught up on that yet?
So as far as I know, in our last division head meeting, Brian did say that we're actually getting more progress right now. So yes, it is working. It's just the ash, of course, is overwhelming and the stump grinding, as
Stump
you, as I
grinding,
pointed
Yeah, I
out.
see a bunch of stuff.
To get them back to where they need to be. And then we're also planning as well, trying to replace the trees with a diverse tree assortment. But yes, it is working, and we are getting to the point where we can actually start doing some trimming and other things as well.
Excellent.
Oh, and look-
Okay.
and hope we don't get another storm,
Yes.
Yeah,
because it's
Right.
almost a year.
Yeah.
right, okay.
Motion to receive and place on file?
Second.
Motion and a second. Atkins Steuer to receive and place on file. Steve, did you have another question?
Yeah, just one on the tree thing. Who's the east side guy? Forester?
I'd have to get back to you on that. I slipped my mind right now.
Business had a tree put in without their how they wanted to move because of block their sign.
So we put in a tree, you're saying? If you just, could you email or?
Sure.
I can talk to you afterwards or something?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next meeting, June 14th. Tentatively, I think there's an extra week in there too, so.
So historical, today's
Oh,
Flag Day.
Mark, we always has our points out
Today's
today.
Flag Day.
All right.
I'm not sure
No,
what your.
next one is
Oh,
Flag
it's the
Day.
14th,
Say
but it's
14th.
Flag Day,
What
correct.
about today?
Yes.
Sorry.
Today is May 31st.
Yeah, because I
Nothing?
know.
I didn't look
All
at,
right, usually
anybody
that's
on the
historical
audience,
fact.
May 31st.
All right, well, think of one before your next meeting. All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn, all direct.
Second.
Second by Alder Campbell. Those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned.
we are adjourned.
I
James,
just,
for that
I
249,999, you
and I
know,
see
for
the
that, I
flag,
got a
it's
dollar.
kinda like,
Yeah,
Can I donate $1 for that?
Oh, make it a cool
You saw
quarter
the
Should we
bill.
make it should we make it official?
Yeah, make it official.
And
Can
you're
I
going
do
to be
that?
on there.